The god of stars fell from the sky while battling the elder things, and lo, he plummeted past the sun, his body burned with fire, falling to the ground and crashing with such great force that a mountain was torn asunder. He lay there, unconscious, as an old woman in the nearby village came to find him. Her eyes were dark, and so she was the only one who was able to look upon the fallen god without going blind. She found him in the crater and went to go help him, only to discover his skin was like fire to the touch. His mighty armor broke into shards by the heat and the fall. He stood and fell, succumbing to deep slumber. She went abroad asking what a star would eat. Would they eat darkness? Would they eat light? Would they eat fire? She brought him a loaf of rye bread for darkness, a white fish for light, and a red apple for fire. He removed his helmet in secret to eat. The bread he ate and grew satisfied, and so he blessed the land with plenty, that the crops of the field would be ever prosperous. The fish he ate and grew strong, so he blessed the river with strength, that it would forever feed the crops, and the fish would never run out. And he ate the apple and grew fresh again. So he took the core of the apple and exchanged the seeds for the fruit of the gods, a fruit that would keep the eater young forever. And he planted the core where he had fallen, and put his helmet back on. To reward the woman, he showed her how to work the metal of the gods, and trusted her with the scraps of his armor, from which she made shields and swords and armor of her own. And she called the metal divinite, after the divine ones. One bright day, a man seeking shelter from the sun cut down a tree to make for a house. He used the wood and the leaves, and kept whatever spare things he had to burn for a nightly fire. He saw that the land was good, and decided to tell his family. But his father was a wicked ruler, and sought to take the fine coastal forest to make his industry, to make the land barren and sell it off bit by bit for his own gain. As he dug deeper into the earth, he discovered a wellspring of water, so pure and fine that when the evil king bathed in it, he came out with skin that shined like diamonds and hair that looked like gold. This was the bath of the gods, and its water was what kept the coast so pure. The evil king ordered that his servants take up vessels of the water and bring it to him, that even after the land was barren, the king could bathe forever. The god of powers went to bathe in the bath one day and found that the wellspring was dry. The ground shook. The land around had become barren and dead, so the god looked and found the king, and when the king denied the god of powers, his wrath was terrible. The god left the palace and went to the coast. He took the sky and the sea, and he mixed them together like the brew of a mighty potion, swirling together. He threw lightning and boomed thunder from the middle, and when the storm came knocking, the king had no defense against its power. The sun was blotted out by the darkness of the clouds. Those who had joined the king fled to high ground, only for their hills and mountains to be bombarded by lightning. Only the considerate man who had taken only what he needed was spared the floods and the storms, clinging to the logs of his home for support. In the end, the whole of the coast was buried in the sea, and the wellspring's water was taken by the mighty god of powers and set in the sky, turning it the purest blue. So when storms are on the horizon or dark clouds bathe in the vibrant blue, know it is the god of powers cleaning himself. And remember that the wild places and natural things of the world are better left unspoiled. Everything is seen and heard. No secret will be left unchecked at your final day. The god of eyes makes sure of this. He sees 10,000 things at once. He balances the moons on one hand and reaches across nations with the other. A clever spirit once snuck into the palace of the gods in an attempt to steal the moons, an idea that would make him mighty among spirits and mortals alike. As he crept up to the large structure, he found that the walls and floor were made of divinite, a metal so strong that 10,000 armies could storm the palace for 100 years and never leave a scratch unless they knew its secrets. But the spirit was smarter than 10,000 armies, and he knew that to enter the palace of the gods, you needed to be a god. So he fashioned himself the disguise of a god from another world and asked for entry. He was led into the palace, and the servants of the gods assumed he was a god and gave him room to stay in and a meal of the god's food. Feeling fat and happy, the spirit went to sleep, only to wake in the middle of the night to steal the moons. He crept along, past the rooms of the other gods, stars, powers, ink, and stories. Finally, he found the room of the god of eyes, and upon entering he saw the god hard at work, studying all the world, and the spirit chuckled. All the world he can see, but I alone remain beyond his sight. And the god spoke back. All the world I can see, but beyond I also see. You have never been beyond my sight, just merely below the importance of my duty. The spirit was shocked and turned to run, only to find the god of eyes between him and the door, holding the moons in one hand and gripping the spirit's robes with the other. You are not worthy of my time. Tell all mortals that the things of the gods are not to be tampered with, or your punishment will be more severe. He let go of the spirit, and the spirit found himself in a long, dry desert, all alone. He had not even moved. The god of eyes hadn't needed to move the spirit, because the god's hand was everywhere, and the god's eyes saw everything. There are two things that are certain: memory and present. But the future is always changing, always evolving, chronicled by the god of stories, written and decided by him. A scholar of fate once decided to ask the god of stories for his own death. He climbed the mountain where the god was pondering one day and asked him how he would die. The robed god turned and pointed to a place on the path. The man looked and saw a den of snakes. You are already dead. The snakes will kill you on the way down. The man was concerned. Is there a way around them? There's only one nest. Surely now that I know I can avoid them. The god sighed. Once you ask me for your fate, it is sealed, immutable. For my word is law and my decisions are final. And so the man left and avoided the nest. And on the path he took, a snake was hiding in the long grass and killed him. Another man came to the mountain and asked the god why he would kill the man by placing the snake there. And the god replied, He asked. I answered him. Were I to tell him he'd die of old age, too many things would change. I would have to dictate the dangers of his life away for years. Had he asked things of the past or present, his fate wouldn't have been sealed. The second man waited a moment and asked, Well, will I die of the snakes? And the god looked back at him and said simply, Why, of course you will. I spared you from them all your climb up. Balance must be kept between the will of gods and mortals. When the will of either is overruled, calamity will strike. The god of ink descended from the void of the night sky in search of an agent of division, one who used their might to tear the people against one another, and found, unsurprisingly, a tyrant. The god of ink The god of ink robed himself in rags and went unto the tyrant, asking them why the subjects of the kingdom hated one another. For any good kingdom is united in solidarity, even if not belief. The tyrant scorned the disguised god and turned him away, sending guards after him. The god of ink fled, lest his disguise be rent, and he went into the streets. He was scorned by all. Neither side of the conflict would care for his needs. And after some time he found a young woman publicly cursing her peers, caught up in this division. The god of ink spoke with her, and he revealed to her the lies of the tyrant. She was shocked, and asked what other lies were told. The god of ink reached out and touched her eyes, staining her skin a glistening dark color, but opening her mind to the truth. She can no longer be manipulated, not by lie, or plot, or scheme, or even fate itself. And she saw people suffering because they had forgotten the humanity of their peers. And she went and she told others what she saw, that when she had gathered a force to denounce the tyrant's lies, none could stop them. And the woman brought the tyrant to the god of ink, asking him what fate should befall the villain. And the god of ink said simply that he would curse the tyrant, that he could never rule again. And the woman agreed, and the god of ink, still in his rags, left the kingdom. And the will of mortals was free, and their eyes were clear, that mortal kind could rise up independent of the divine, and balance could be kept.